It's time for some more sweet treats. We're going to go ahead and sprinkle just a little bit of flour on our cutting board to make sure that the dough doesn't stick while we're working with it today. Next up, we're going to get a Crescent dough sheet. Again, I love working with this refrigerated dough. Canisters are so simple, and I love the sounds Carrie makes when she opens them. Oh, I love it. We're going to take out this entire Crescent dough sheet, and we're going to unroll it as carefully as we can because it is just a little bit fragile, so it may tear. If it does, don't worry about it. All you got to do is use a couple of wet fingers and just sort of like knead it back into a shape of a sheet, okay? See how we got a couple of little tears down here? Not a big deal. We'll just literally knead those back together, and we won't have to worry about it again. Going to put just a little bit more flour on here because we're about to roll it out to make sure it's good and flat and make sure that any of those wrinkles or tears get pushed back into the dough. Beautiful. Super, super simple. Next up, we're going to get some Nutella. Now, if y'all haven't tried this, I highly recommend it. It is so good. It's a hazelnut chocolate spread, and it is out of this world delicious. I remember whenever I used to work on cruise ships, you could only find this stuff easily in Europe, and whenever we got it, I'd just get it and sit down, just put fingers in it, and just lick it off my fingers. We're going to be a whole lot more classy than that here. We're going to go ahead and put that here on our sheet of Crescent dough and just make sure we've got a real good, even distribution of it all the way around. Now, if you've got a few little naked spots, don't worry about it because, as you can tell, we're going to fold it together, and all that's going to even out in the wash. We're going to continue to close up all of the seams as best we can. Finger knead those to make sure they close up real nice and well. Perfect. But now, whenever we get everything all finger kneaded and whatnot, there's a couple of schools of thought on this. You can either add more Nutella there inside the dough, or you can just lick it off the spatula. I'm fine either way. I prefer to lick the spatula just because, well, I'm kind of a chunky chef, and that's all right. Doesn't hurt my feelings a bit. Now we're going to roll up all those seams again. Try to make sure that you keep all that Nutella on the inside of your dough, okay? Whenever we do that, we're going to give it a very gentle roll just to make sure we get any of those lumps out, as well as seal those seams just a little bit better. Perfect. Now, whenever we get that done, we're going to take our pizza cutter and go ahead and cut very thin strips of this, about 1 inch wide all the way across, okay? Takes no time at all. Don't be too precious about it. It's absolutely easy. If they're not completely even, not an issue. We're going to get rid of this extra that we've got here on the sides because it's just not really going to serve it. Then we're going to use a bit of a paper fan fold next. We're going to zigzag it back and forth, making sure that it's going to be broad at the bottom and taper to almost a point at the top. See how that's going? Perfect. We're going to take a flat toothpick and run it all the way through to make sure it holds its shape while we bake. I'm going to go ahead and show you one more time with that again. It's just a fan fold. Get it all together, broad base, narrow at the top. Toothpick through the whole thing, just make sure it keeps its shape while it's baking. Speaking of baking, we've got the oven set to 350 degrees. It's going to take about 20 minutes for all of these to do that. Give each one of those strips a fan fold. Run your toothpick through it to make sure it keeps its shape while you're baking. And 20 minutes later, you're going to have all this beautiful. Wish you'd look at that. How glorious. I just love it. It's got that flakiness of the Crescent sheet, and then it's got that dark chocolate hazelnut goodness of the Nutella. Next, we're going to sprinkle it with just a little bit of this red sparkle sugar. Perfect, because it is Christmas after all. I want to make sure we stay true to the color theme. And then we're going to use a little bit more of that Nutella to put the star on the top. Sometimes the toothpick will work, but sometimes you got to get a little natural adhesive that also tastes absolutely delicious. And then what you've got is 8 gorgeous little Nutella trees. I wish you'd look at that, how pretty. We're going to go ahead and serve these up. They're going to be on the snack table for anybody and everybody. Fantastic with a cup of hot coffee or a big old cold glass of milk. Yes, please.